Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in again. If you enjoy this content and you think it deserves it, consider leaving me a like at the end and maybe subscribing if you feel like it. What I'm about to do is cut a layer. There's a vine just here that is suffering from some sort of trunk disease, possibly wet feet, or there's something going on with this vine. So I'm going to spur prune it just to see if I can force some growth down low, but I'll also leave a layer just in case it's needed for next year. And we'll go through the process of cutting the layer and what I'm going to do to try to force some growth down the trunk for this vine. So here you can see that this vine's really not looking healthy in comparison to the ones next to it, which means that there's nothing wrong with this patch of soil. There's something wrong with this vine in particular. There's a lot of big wounds on here that haven't been painted, and chances are there's either desiccation or dieback that's caused a sap flow issue somewhere up in the trunk. And most of the trunk feels a little bit dead, so there's a good chance that the whole thing's dead. But what I'm going to try to do is force some growth down here. And the way I'm going to do that is to spur prune this really heavy. So at the moment we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 7 canes that have popped up. I'm going to train that right back to about 3 spurs at the top, and focusing sort of around the crown mainly. And then I'm going to turn this long cane just here into the layer for next year, because I've got a good feeling that this one's going to fail completely. So what I'll do is quickly spur prune this one, and I'm going to cut everything at the end right off flat like so. And now I'll start leaving some spurs. I'll probably cut this one off flat, leave a spur here. Now if you look, we have the basal bud, one bud up and another one. I'm going to cut through this one, leave a pretty small spur. Hopefully we'll only get the one, we may get 2. I'm going to turn this one into a spur also. We're cutting through here, hopefully we'll get the 1, but probably get 2. I'm going to cut this piece off completely, and I'm going to try to leave a little bit of life in the crown area below the wire so that we can replace it with, hopefully, some canes next year. And with this one I'm going to keep that end cane right there intact, and I'm going to trim off everything else except for the choice in around the crown that I'd like to keep. So what I'm going to do is keep this as my main cane. Here it's 1 cane, 1 spur. Main cane, I'll leave probably this one as a replacement spur. So here, and leave the 2 buds down the bottom. Cut this one off, cut this one off. Leave this as my main cane. I'm going to trim everything else up along here. Except for the one on the end, just here. And what I'm going to do with that is clear off all the laterals, tendrils, and other little bits and pieces that are poking out. So we got, I'm not worried about counting buds on this one. I'm just going to clean up all this mess, leaving the buds intact for now. Now I'm going to pull out all this crap. Trim this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to cut through number 9 for 2 reasons. It goes a little bit funny after number 9, and the growth from here on out is often retarded. So I'm going to trim through number 9. That's also reducing the total amount of buds that I would normally leave on it to help push some growth into this new layer. Now I'm going to unwrap this layer, which I need 2 hands to do, so I'm going to pause this while I do it. And now it's all undone. The next step is to find out exactly what point it goes under the ground. So this is now long enough to lay it down to the ground and bend back up. So It'll sort of be in this fashion, but dug under the ground. So it'll go from this tree down under the ground and then back up again, leaving 2 buds at the top here, a couple of buds active under the ground just here, and trim everything else off flat or blind it. So we can tell that from this bud just here back to the vine, it's going to need trimming or blinding. So we'll go ahead and do that. Blind him off. Blind him off. And I'll come back with the other equipment at a later stage and finish planting that layer. I'll secure it under the ground, and you'll see exactly how it operates under the ground. There we go, that's done. About 30 centimeters or so is optimal, but you know, obviously a little bit more shallow than that, it's fine as well. Now the securing it to the bottom of the trench bit. Thanks, man. Easy. So we bend it into shape. Secure it at the bottom of the trench with a nail. It's a metal U-nail. And then putting a girdle on it, using a piece of wire for a cable tie. And should really be wearing safety glasses, but I'm not. Putting a girdle on so that as it grows in diameter, it'll choke itself off and stop sending nutrition back to the mother vine, which is that one. And we'll trim these buds off, everything between the layer and the mother vine. Stop any unwanted growth there. And then again with these ones, we just leave the top 3 active. 1, 2, 3. That way we've got 2 canes and a replacement spur. But we leave the ones in the trench active as well. That'll help generate new roots. And then we can just fill the gap back in. Alright, and that's it. We have a new layer. And fill in that gap. This is step 2 in the layering process. So this one's 1 year. It's been trained down, and it's come back up to 1 shoot, and that 1 shoot's been tied off, and it's thrown 1, 2, 3, 4 decent shoots. And what we're going to do now is train 1 shoot to lay down and a replacement spur. So we'll pick these 2 guys just here. I'll go this one for the replacement spur, and I'll lay this one down. And truthfully, that's probably a little bit too low. It's underneath the irrigation wire, so ideally you want that replacement spur and the cane to be above or between the irrigation wire and the fruiting wire just there. But in this case, we'll just trim this one up to an appropriate amount of buds, maybe 5 or 6, keeping 4 below the wire. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, and 4 below the wire. Trim the rest back. And then up here, probably keep another 2. That's 5 and 6. Trim and gut. And now we have 5 active bud spurs, 5 active bud cane to lay down for next year, and replacement spurs, so we get 4 good canes in the crown area when we establish a new crown, and a replacement spur down the bottom just in case anything happens. Now this one's the next step along, where a cane's actually been laid down last year. We'll keep everything still intact, and hopefully there'll be a girdle underneath the ground there to choke off the supply eventually by itself. once this one's established its own root system. And here we will take a cane, so that one, and a spur, that one, cut that one off, and we'll lay down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and might cut through number 6. Again, we've got 5 active buds on the laid down cane, and that'll put some girth back into the trunk and hopefully help with root development a little bit as well. And here we have one that's fully matured. You can tell by the slight difference in girth between this one and this one. The strangulation process has probably already begun, and this one is probably strong enough now to continue by itself, and you're able to cut this off. We'll leave it connected because there's no harm in having it there until this one's well and truly established. But this is an example of a successful layer. Yeah, trying to whack a cutting in amongst all this established vineyard is pretty much futile. A cutting will not grow healthy enough to replace a vine that's missing. Whereas if you use a layer, it'll grow into a nice healthy vine just like this one is. That's it, thank you. And remember, if you enjoyed this content, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next video.